All right, we are live. Hashtag Dirty South. My boy Natsman ain't with us right now, but I get to say it since I'm in the Carolinas now. I got Bobbles with me. Hopefully, we'll get JD with us here in a minute.
Has JD survived the trip? Is he back yet?
He said he wants to get on for a minute. Chevy Chase, the station wagon just pulled in.
Oh snap!
He punched Moose in the nose down in Disney. That was fun getting some on the road chat from him. That was interesting last week.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm asking last minute, throw out an invitation to some people because I just wrote some background real quick. Welcome to my channel tonight. First off, haven't really got into anything this week. Really purchasing. Just kind of, I found a car shop that's 5 minutes from my house, so I'm very happy with. Plus a toy/comic book store closer, so I'm even happier.
Which shop are you near?
Score-more, yeah.
You'll probably meet G at some point then. G and Megs, because Platinum, they go into Score-more all the time.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know if you saw the pickup I got last week from What's Up, Colorado Sports Dude. I got the Johnny Bench Perez Steel auto last week.
Yeah, G Megs and their kids and stuff, they go and Score-more all the time. The young boy that breaks for Platinum, Austin, he actually used to work at Score-more.
Oh, also, I'll do some name dropping.
Yeah, well, his name's Austin. He breaks with Platinum now, but when he was in high school, he worked at Score-more.
Okay, so. Yeah, it's a nice shop. Not very big, but it's nice. It's got what I want in it: supplies, supplies and boxes, and they're not crazy over. Like they're pretty much blowout, and we'll touch on that because I saw your video the other day. So all this is going to tie in together. I promise, because I threw this out there because Friday night I was watching I Am Carlos, and sorry, Carlos, I'm going to bite a little bit off for you, and I know you don't really care, but I'm going to apologize. But he was talking about the last few days, and I watched, and then went back and watched this video again talking about is it Chris from Card Ladder or whatever that group is, talking about how we don't have a good enough variety in our channels and our network to bring in basically the whales, the big fish, the guys are going to put in, as he said, this guy's spent $50 million on what did he say, on Bitcoin that could have been spent in sports cards. Do you think that somebody with $50 million is going to go out and spend, if they're going to invest in something like Bitcoin, do you think they're going to do it in cards that don't pay dividends or anything like that? What do you think?
So my thoughts is there are whales in the hobby.
Yes.
There are guys that have millions upon millions that are putting it in sports cards.
Yeah.
However, to criticize the content, and I think here's where Chris misled the direction of his entire conversation and where this puts him in a bad look. Chris needed to say who he was directing this as. If he's talking about two guys, like us sitting here having a conversation about cardboard, that's what the hobby is. There is nothing wrong with people getting on, sharing their collections, talking about cards. My channel, every so often I'll do, what's up, JD? Back home.
The thumbs up.
But sometimes I'll talk like prices or stuff like that. But to be quite honest, I kind of quit even doing that, like what cards were doing or anything, because I got sick of people arguing about it or arguing over plastic or whatever. As YouTube content creators, I don't think, and there's how many of us now? Like, how many people get on and make YouTube videos?
I find new ones every week, and it seems like everybody else knows about them. So
right. So to sit there and say that without naming specific names. Now, if he wanted to call people out, if he wants this to get better, he needs to specify who he is talking about. Don't generalize or categorize us all, because I am not directed. If there is some millionaire interested in investing in sports cards, I'm not the channel for him, because my most expensive card's $4,000, and it doesn't take a genius to know Babe Ruth is a good buy.
right,
I'm not telling him any secrets.
right.
So my channel isn't. I mean, if he wants to call me a clown or whatever, then so be it. I'll wear the red nose, but I have fun. Content is enjoyable for me, and it's allowed me to meet, folks like yourself and Nats Man and Guns and JJ and Sean, the group that we've connected, the community, and let's not be misunderstood here. When I say there's whales that do know some of the little fish in the sea as well.
Right.
So they do pay attention. They don't think everybody is a clown. They listen and watch.
Yeah.
So maybe he should direct who he is speaking about.
I know JD, you were hopping on. Did you hear what I asked? So this guy bought Sailor. Hey, I'm glad. Thank you, Colorado Sports Dude. Bought $50 million in Bitcoin.
Wow.
And Chris from Sports Card Ladder, whatever.
Yeah.
Said that if our channels were more interesting in grabbing that type of person, he might have spent that in sports cards, or people like him in the future spending in sports cards. What is your take on that? If you have one or whatever.
Yeah, first thing, Bobbles, the lighting in your room is like magical right now, dude.
It is.
I know. God. I can't get my camera to adjust. I don't know why it's so bright.
Holy crap. I feel like I'm speaking to
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real bright. I don't know why.
So my take is this, man. Bitcoin is it's very similar to a stock, right? I mean, it's the same concept, and people have made a lot of money, and people have also lost their ass, just like anything, right? Cards, to me, if the intention is money, I think you're losing sight of what cards are all about, because if I do this for, and maybe Bobbles and I and yourself, Scott, are the wrong three guys to be talking about this. This isn't solely like money for me. It's really not. It's enjoyable, right? So like the content I create, like I'm all over the place. You guys watch my stuff. I sometimes I talk prices, sometimes I talk, I don't know, nonsense. I don't really make content with the thought of, man, I hope somebody watches this and then they want to invest $300 million into sports cards. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's, when you start trying to dictate how people should be doing things. And I didn't hear the comments. I don't even know what the heck is really going on. I was down in Disney World for the last week, so I'm just getting back to reality. But to me,
it basically boils down to.
Hold on. Let's get back to Disney World. Because of all the boycotts, did you go right through the lines, or was there?
Yeah. So my daughter has Crohn's disease.
Okay.
So we we filled out like something where she gets like a disability thing. So,
right.
old JD and the fam did not wait in any lines. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah, it was the
What he
greatest.
chased.
I kind of felt bad for all the other people, man. I was
Suckers.
like, man, everybody should have a disability. Like, just get in there. Like, people waiting like 3 hours to go on a ride. First of all, I would never do that.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was good, man. It was the parks were sold out, but I think they're limiting what's they allow in right now as far as amount of people. It
Right.
certainly wasn't as crowded as the last time we went, and the weather was perfect. But that's we can talk about that another day.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't even know if I'm answering the question properly, but to me,
The
I
point
don't
is,
think
what it all boils down to in a short synopsis is the card ladder guys, Chris and Josh, they've been like having their crossover discussions and this and that. And there was this conversation of topic brought up that the sports card content, like Chris had this epiphany after the Mint Collective that the sports card content out there was a bunch of clowns and cornballs doing content, and we need to get better at content out there to attract and bring in big time investors into our hobby.
Right.
so.
And the guy doesn't even understand. He thinks like this all started in 2016 on YouTube. He doesn't understand like probably right after the first YouTube video, the second video was a guy showing his cards. So it's been around as long as YouTube's been around. So before.
There's guys with channels that date back what, like 10, 15 years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think Nolan's been on for like 12.
right.
Yeah.
And
I don't
he
know. I
used to do more content than just return videos. He actually used to do his whiteboard content.
Right.
You have those back pages. I'm pretty sure Mike, Baseball Collector, has been around. I think he's been around for a while. Yeah,
I
there's
just
been a lot of
don't-
guys.
I don't like, to me, what attracts me to this space are people like yourselves.
Right.
Like, I mean, we all talk multiple times a day about anything and everything. So, like,
The
I don't
scenery
know.
going up the highway.
yeah, like, I don't know. To me, I don't think that it's the content creators prerogative to make content to draw in. I don't know. I guess what are you talking, like the Wall Street type? I don't know.
That's basically, and now I've heard y'all too, and I agree 100%. The guy that's got 50 million is not going to buy baseball cards. He's going to buy the company that makes the baseball cards.
Well, I would like to actually come out and speak and say, Chris, of all people, should know someone. And it wasn't like heavily publicized. And this is where content actually misses the breaking news point sometimes. But I personally know G and Megs and Platinum Card Breaks, the ones I was just telling you about that go into Score More.
Right.
They just did what is potentially the largest transaction ever in the history of sports cards. And it was in deep 8 figures. Now he's sitting there quoting a guy saying he could put 50 million in. I don't know exact numbers, but I will say it was said there was 8 figures worth of wax and over the amount of wax in just singles. You put 2 and 2 together, 8 figures is 10 million. So it was probably in excess of $20 million that was just bought in a private sale. But that didn't make headlines because it wasn't broadcast everywhere.
Right.
It wasn't on CNN and Golden's posts and this, that, and the other. It wasn't broadcast, so people don't see that kind of thing.
Right.
So just because Chris has this little, card ladder content that he wants to, like, I guess he thinks his is up on a pedestal and that it's not attracting people, there are people spending many, 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 many millions of dollars in this hobby.
God, yeah.
I just want to point out what Reese has got on here. This is 100% correct.
Yep.
YouTube is an entertainment space.
Right.
And I mean, there is investment forums on here, and you get any type of information you want. But first off, you shouldn't be putting your money, if you're investing for the future, please don't do it in ball cards. That's my investment advice to you. You know, this is a hobby. Let's keep it a hobby for the most part. And you can make money off of a hobby. Nobody's saying you can't. That's part of the fun of the hobby, right? But, you know, let's be real. And, you know, this guy, Chris, I think, because he had a chance to backtrack. This all started on Instagram. Then they brought it over to their chat and talked for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then he doubled down on Dakota's channel. And even, I guess, Dakota, the female that was on there, was Christina, yes. Man, she was putting it kind of back in him in a very logical and not smart ass way. Like, this,
so
you're not being, this is not right. You know, you're not, and he kept doubling down on it,
So there was something that was said at the end of the video that I don't know if many people picked up on, but it kind of stuck out to me with Chris. And they were discussing about authentic content, and like they want good content and authentic content.
Right.
But then when they were all saying their goodbyes, and you know, Dakota thanked Christina for coming on, and Christina was like, "Oh, you know, I'm glad I got to come on because I don't get to hang out with the boys that often." Blah blah blah. And Chris says, "Yeah, it sometimes scares me with Christina because I don't know what kind of bullets she's gonna fire." And that stuck out to me because it's like, if you're wanting authentic content,
that's awesome.
Why are you trying to censor her or worry about what she's going to say?
Right.
Like, people love when I get fired up.
Right.
And sometimes it's taken, you know, the right way, and sometimes it's taken the wrong way, but it's just passion about the hobby when I get fired up. Right. And I'm going to fire bullets when I get fired up. If you want authentic, that is the purest of authentic. You know, authenticity is saying what you mean and not worrying about who you're going to upset.
Right, because it kind of lit a fire under me. Being a guy, I'm a little over 3 years, going on 4 years, I guess, now doing this, and I don't buy high end stuff, and every once in a while I do, and I love it when I do. But to me, like finding that Johnny Bench Perez steel, first time putting a Perez steel in my collection, you know, that's $100. Big whoop-de-doo. But man, it was priceless to me.
Sweet card too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I got chills just talking about it. I've been keeping it around. I look at it a lot right now. So, you know, it's also like why I keep my Jackie Robinsons and stuff like that, and certain Gary Carters. And to me, I feel bad for a person like that because they're missing out on what we have. They're missing out on what we have with these guys in chat. I love what we do. I mean, this brotherhood, sisterhood, family of cards that we have, you know, it's fun. And we don't, I say it all the time, don't take it too seriously and you'll have more fun you ever dream of if you love that hobby. And I just think, and that's why another reason why I wanted people to come on, because I think I would have blew up a little bit on here tonight, because it kind of felt like, are you talking to me? Are you talking?
Right.
I don't see nobody else. I know he's not talking to me personally, but you know what I'm saying? Like
that, and that's what I said. He screwed up. He screwed up by not speaking out. Like, it was almost like,
you know who he's talking about.
Well, everybody was saying it was Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson. Because
everybody was saying it was Jeff Wilson. But that's where he screwed up. Like, they're sitting there saying, well, we need authentic content. We need this. We need that. But speak out who you're talking about, so that way the entire community doesn't feel targeted or think that you're some snarky, snub-nosed a-hole. You know, if you got an issue with people, tell them that you got issues.
I kind of feel that with that whole group. If you ever try to talk to them at a show or anything, they kind of they're their own little clique, and
Yeah, and I mean, like
they're not part of our community. I hate to say that.
The thing with cards, right, man? It's like I always go back to, when you go to a show and you're talking to a dealer or whatever, if your buddy's got a table or whatnot, or you remember someone from the last show that maybe pulled one over on you and you want to go back and try to finagle a deal so you feel like you got the win this time. The whole, that's what this is to me is about, right? Like you have these interactions with people, and like you're talking about the cards that you have, and I know Bobbles has spent a good portion of this year reeling in some big dogs, and I'm doing my thing, and it's like, when I look at a card that I have that means something to me, like some of my Jordan stuff, like I like it. It's nice for me, but I know there's bigger cards out there but I don't really care about them because unless I hit Powerball, I'm not owning them. So I don't care. Like, they're great, and I don't even want to own it because I'd be so goddamn nervous. Like,
Right.
it's worth more than my house. Like, what am I doing now? You know what I mean?
Those cards right above my head on that bat case, they're right there displayed, and that, like, 99.9% of people out there would care nothing about owning those cards. That's Michael Taylor.
Right.
I mean, that's the dude I love to PC, and they're proudly displayed right there, on top of his bat. And that's what I get out of it. Yeah, I've picked up, some nice cards, but they're also low grades. I mean, come on. I'm the guy that's like getting straight A's over here and happy about it. Like, I'm tickled when I pick a card up that looks like, what does Chris say? The ran over by a truck division. Right. I am like president of that division because that's what I can afford, but I enjoy owning them. So
I want to say what's up, Blue Rock, out here real quick. Just popped on. My fellow.
The other thing too, man, like Reese said, not to go back and beat a dead horse, but if you have $50 million or you have $10 million or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. You're in a different category of life than the average Joe, right? Like, that person doesn't have to wake up every day and worry about the mortgage payment. And maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, everybody's different. You can still have 50 million in the bank and like Antoine Walker and figure out how to lose it all. But, most of these guys are living off the interest. They're smart. They have, like you said, they're paying someone to manage their funds if they're not already doing it themselves.
Right.
And they're doing, most of their money is probably in things like real estate or, safe things. And then if they want to drop $100,000 on a card, it's like $50 to you and I, you know what I mean? So it's like it's relative to what you have in your bank account, really. I know for me, once I get to a certain price point, I start getting nervous. Mm-hmm. And it's not because of, I'm like taking money out of my kids' mouths or something like that. Like, I have my own, we all have our own card account, but like, I get nervous where I'm like, well, if I drop 500 on this card, that means I can't be like a friggin' card addict at like 11:30 at night, ripping through fire sales like a madman. You know what I mean? So like, I get nervous like on that stuff, but at the end of the day, like, do you, whatever it is, like like I'm into what I'm into. You guys are into what you're into. I enjoy seeing what you guys pick up. I don't, there's no right or wrong way to do any of this stuff. Right. It's whatever makes you happy. And if you come home at the end of the day and you're happy with the stack of cards in front of you or behind you or in a box or wherever, great. But other than that,
I just bought a card while we were sitting here talking. So
yeah, I just put together. I actually just put together an SGC order to send down to you. So
well, it's funny. Like you were saying, just do you and like whatever you're enjoying. This is like a random card. And it's because me and the missus started like picking back up because we had watched it long ago, and we're finished with Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul now. So we realized there was like several seasons of Walking Dead that we hadn't finished. So we jumped back over to Walking Dead. So I got on looking at Walking Dead autographs and picked up a Rick Grimes.
Nice.
While we were sitting, it was ending on auction. So it was like, like you said, just do you. Is this going to make me rich? No, it's something, we've been enjoying. We watched the show over the course of the years, and I seen one was ending on auction, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll throw a bid on it.
Right.
There's so many different parallels to this hobby.
And
I think
no, sorry,
I think
go
where
ahead.
it gets confused is when the dollar amount is the only thing seen.
Right.
Yeah.
It gets lost of its purpose.
Right.
If you look like, and there's already companies out there that I think do a really nice job catering to the high-end clientele. Like PWCC does a really nice job presenting really nice cards, whether it's on their Instagram or whatever else they're doing. They do a really nice job. Some of these other Golden Ken, he does a nice job presenting. So those guys are established. And if you have bankroll, you know where you're going. So let those guys fill that lane, and the rest of us do whatever the hell we want, right? I don't care. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't type in, like, I've actually got rid of a lot of the channels I was subscribing to over the last couple years here, and I've really kind of just narrowed down like a few different content creators that each brings something different to the table that kind of keeps me honest, so to speak, where, like I have the collectors, I have like a investor type guy, I have this, I have that, and I have like a couple people that never make any sense whatsoever, but I find them enjoyable.
Right.
And it's cool, but I don't.
Well, as a collector, you want to stay well-rounded. You want to know what's out there.
Yeah.
And you might be in one lane and you want to watch somebody that does something a little different. You might give you an idea. I do that. I don't collect a lot of vintage, but I like watching guys that do. Because I like to buy the guys that I watch now or in my lifetime that are my baseball heroes.
Yep.
So
my content. Sorry, go ahead, B. Go ahead, Scott.
No, I just wanted to give Don a quick shout out for saying hey, and real quick, let's take a moment to have a little fun here. Musial or Mantle? Did you see Colorado Sports do? I posted it up. He said it was Musial or Mantle the better player. I would say Mantle, but I wouldn't squawk if I had either one on my team. So,
oof.
Or Hank Aaron or someone else in that era. That's what he said. So,
I'd take Mays, but whatever.
Would you? Okay. All right.
Oh, Mays, definitely, yeah. But I think I don't think you could go wrong with either. I think Mantle was just more popular because of the Yankees.
Right.
So,
and he had a better lineup around him most of the time. So,
what I was going to say, like JD was talking about, he was getting rid of content that he was subscribed to. I have found, and me and you were discussing it a little bit before we went live, Scott, but I got into this, like, my channel started because of, obviously, I got an SGC order back, well over 2 years ago. And I was sitting here, it came back, and I was like, oh, I got a camera, I got, a microphone. Let me share. I like watching Nolan when he gets his stuff back. Let me get on and share mine. I don't see many people getting SGC returns. Let me share it. And then there was questions asked, and it was really timing because that's when the pandemic hit and PSA shut down and BGS shut down the first time. And then that's when people started asking if we would do group submissions because I was doing bulk subs of my own. And I guess a lot of people had like this thought that I just woke up one morning and said, hey, I'm going to be a group submitter. That wasn't the case at all. It was actually asked of me to do it. And for the longest time, I said no. And then finally, I gave into it. And so I started doing content that was strictly talking about what I was experiencing with it, giving information out there. Well, I kind of stopped because I got sick of people insinuating that I was only talking SGC because I'm a group submitter and I was pumping the brand up or wanted people to send cards to me to submit or whatever. And, I just got sick of hearing that because that wasn't the purpose.
Right.
It was, this is what I know. Let me talk about this. Let me put out information that could help somebody else.
Right.
And then let them make their own decision of what they want to do, really. So now I've tried to, if I do a video outside of a preview or a reveal or something like that, I think I'm going to just go more in the path of like what I was working on before you sent the invite out, like I've done the past couple of days. Just talk about stuff to maybe share some information out there. How many gold parallel Juan Sotos have been graded? What is the percentage of those right now that are graded in the pop reports? Does that open our eyes up to how many more base cards could be out there? Well, I'm trying to think of some other ones recent. Oh, the PWE standard envelope, sharing how much I sold on some $5 and $8 cards or whatever over the course of a month to maybe help some folks out and see, hey, it sounds like a lot of work, but you can make, $400 or $500 pretty easily selling stuff you don't want that personally I never thought anybody would want to buy. So just stuff like that. I still will talk about SGC. I will still support SGC. I'm still going to do group submissions, but I'm trying to back off from it a little bit. And also, there's a lot bigger voices out there now that are speaking on them. So it's kind of like my content, even when I'm putting it out, isn't getting heard as much because, well, I've only been speaking on it for over 2 years, but now just because somebody else has more viewers or subscribers, their word is better than what I've said for 2 years.
Yep.
So
now, and I think too, like, for me, like with you guys have not stopped, right? Like I took a couple pauses here and there for the cause. You guys, what I respect out of the both of you is you've been consistent. So if I don't know something, I know I can ask in our chat and I'm going to get the right answer. And again, you can't put a dollar value on that, right? And I also like, I don't know. I just think really trying to create stuff. If that's your goal, right, is to create content to attract outside money, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But you're not, no one, there's no voice, right? There's no voice of the hobby, right? Like this guy, Refractor.
There's no policeman.
He's got more knowledge than like, he just does his thing, right? And he's respectful about it. He'll help out anybody and everybody. And that's what the hobby's about. It's not about creating content to draw in investors. But it can be at the same time if that's what you choose to do, right? I don't choose to do that. I know you two guys don't choose to do that. But I just think making, I don't know, whatever.
Well, my biggest, when I go to a card shop, you know what I want my card shop to feel like? Like I'm going to a barber shop where I want to sit in there and chit chat.
Yep.
I might not buy nothing, but you're going to sit in there and you might not even talk about cards or whatever, but it's just a place to go, hang out and bullshit. That's basically what it is. And, if it's more driven for other reasons, this is supposed to be, I started YouTube on a dare from my friends and I did it. And I thank them every day because I have made some great friends through this, hopefully lifelong friends. And now, I'm going to places around the country where I know people as soon as I go.
Yeah.
a bunch of us are staying together at the National. I can't wait for that to happen. And my gosh, it's just
I think we should, Chris has that little, they got that little content approved badge thing or whatever that they've been doing.
Yeah.
I think somebody needs to create a little trendy thing that's like, and this might be corny according to him or others, but friendship over finances.
Yeah.
Because you're exactly right. You're spot on. I'm someone, growing up, I had friends in cards. I think we all did, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what drew us to us. We didn't just sit in our bedroom playing with cards by ourselves.
Right.
But today, as we grow up, and it doesn't matter whether you're in cards or whatever, as you grow older, you don't have all of the friends from your childhood.
Right.
You may have, a few, but you're not talking to everybody you did when you were a kid.
Right.
And we are afforded this opportunity today because, there might be some others that had it, but us guys here, we didn't have the beauty of the internet
Right.
when we were kids.
And thank
We
God.
didn't have these webcams and these cell phones and everything else when we were kids. Now, as we were elder teens and getting ready to graduate, it started becoming the popular thing, but it still was nothing to where it is today.
Right.
We are blessed to be able to sit here and talk to each other on camera and have, how many other people, I can't see the numbers, but how many other people's in chat along with us, listening to us three goofballs talking about cards and hobby topics, because we don't have those childhood friends that we did growing up that we enjoyed cards with. So now we are able to do something and make new friends out of it. And if we want to get on and do it live on a camera, that we are afforded that opportunity, because if we didn't have this, we would never meet each other. We would just be sitting in our houses in a getaway, a man cave or whatever, playing with cards, and we wouldn't have anybody to talk to about them. They wouldn't really.
It's so true, man.
Fun.
It's so.
How much more fun is it now when you go to the big shows and you run into other YouTubers or people you watch or people that watch you? And I've gotten good friends from these shows and doing this from that. I mean,
I don't know if he's on watching, because I know he watches everybody here. Mm-hmm. But James Gillum, if he's on watching, James, if you're watching and you're listening, say what's up, because he can 100% vouch for this. When I go to Chantilly, and the first time it happened, I had to apologize to the person. And really, for anybody else out there that's ever watched me, I still owe them all an apology, because there's people that'll come up to me and, I'll wear the blue hat and people recognize the blue hat. The last show, I had somebody come up to me and say, I knew that was you. I recognized your voice. I didn't know I had a unique voice. Like, nobody had ever told me that. And they were like, I knew that was you. I heard your voice. And I'm like, and they started quoting content that I have done. They were like, I've watched your show, for a couple years now, and I loved this video you did, and I loved when you talked about this. And I'm like, that actually, it's a humbling thing, and I never expect it when someone does it. It still surprises me. But the thing that I love about it is it gives me even more incentive. Like you said, you did YouTube on a dare,
right?
But you did it. For someone to come up and be like, hey, Bobbles, or are you Bobbles, or are you Scott, or hey, are you JD? I love watching your stuff. That makes you want to do it more. No matter if 50 people watch a video, 100, 1,000, whatever, just knowing that there's people out there that actually watch and appreciate it gives you all the energy in the world to get back on the horse and do it. Whether it's the dumbest video ever, whether 2 people get anything from it, it's worth it because you helped those 2 people.
Right. Correct. And I got not even 500 subscribers, but man, do I know most of them. not know them, but I know the names and I see them. I talk to a lot offline. I mean, it's great community, and
Yep.
I feel like I'm just one notch in that community. I've said it before, of a bigger community,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think I've reached out, because just like anything, you're going to have different parts inside the community and all that. And I think I've reached out and talked to several different groups. So I feel like I'm trying to merge parts of everybody together, because I have seen a little bit of a separation between cliques, if you want to call it that or whatever. But that's something for another day. I didn't feel bad when I saw that video and Carlos talking about it. It just kind of hit me like, who's this guy and who does he think he is? Now, I want people, I don't care if you got $50 million and want to get into the hobby, but please get in for the right reasons, right? Get in knowing, and of course, this Chris guy, when he's talking about buying cards to invest in, he's talking about some flawless RPA rookie card from 2022 basketball. He's not talking like a lot of us that are in a hobby that wants to get like the Wilt Chamberlain rookie card, right? So his idea of investing and my idea of investing is two different worlds altogether anyway.
Yep.
So
And that's why I didn't even like. I didn't do a video on it. I didn't talk about it. I did have somebody, like, I was in the chat when that live was going on with Chris and them on Dakota's channel. Ma'at from the group, he posted something in that chat conversation when it was live asking what I thought about it. I privately discussed it with him. I haven't really publicly said anything on it until tonight. And only because you ask some other folks to come on with other opinions. To be quite honest with you, I don't care if he thinks I'm a clown. I don't care if he thinks I'm a cornball, because he's probably, actually, not probably, I can assure you, he's not the only person that would think that about me. There's many people that think my content sucks, and that's perfectly fine. Because again, there's people that come up to me at a show that obviously watch my stuff and they like it. So everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It is what it is.
True story about Don. This is something that I'll never forget. Me and him stood next to each other 2021, and got introduced by, I think, Legends of the Game or something that deals all the Japanese cards. I keep forgetting his name, and I should be shot. He might be watching. He likes to watch. And and that was the greatest introduction ever. Don is super great. Love his format, how he does things, and has a lot to offer. He's a great guy to pick the brain of buying vintage. And this right here, 2019. Me and Andrew met at the National, Chicago. Great guy. He also sells around in Iowa. I almost said around here because I keep forgetting I'm in North Carolina.
Is Iowa?
Yeah, I'm in Iowa. Is this heaven?
We're not in Iowa anymore.
I see tobacco, not corn. So, yeah, I mean, I love the cards, love the hobby. But man, the friendships went out, and like I said before already tonight, I feel bad when the first thing that somebody talks to, and they think the future of the hobby is depending on these whales, when this hobby's been around since before the 1900s, right?
This is what I did while I was at Disney.
I think you went there for the wrong reason, JD.
So,
is there better deals in Florida? Is that what you're saying?
No, you know what, man? Like, it was funny because I looked for some card shops, and the only one I could find was I didn't even know, like, it was off the beaten path, and I was like, I'm not going there. Right. But you know, and Sky, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, that's okay.
it just, I don't know. I mean, I'm struggling to say some things because it's. I've said it 1,000 times on my channel when I make my own videos. Like, I am definitely one in the camp of I'm glad that in a sense sports cards are viewed as some type of asset.
Right. Oh yeah.
But at the same time, like Bobbles, going back to what Bobble said before, I wanted to touch on that. You know, I get a card in, like you guys know this one. I pulled this the other night out of a packet at Walmart in Kissimmee, Florida, Kissimmee, whatever the hell it's called. Right. I showed my wife and she was like, all right, great. You know, put the towels in the wash. And I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, so like if I didn't have you guys or like a couple of like, thank God, a couple of my buddies like literally in town here with me collect, I would be sitting here by myself twiddling my thumbs. So it's like, you know, I don't know. To try to dictate what people do and say or whatever is really, you know, that's like communist Russia.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
And people get
to
in
me,
the hobby for many of reasons.
Right.
And nobody to say that one is right, one is wrong
Right.
is ridiculous. At any, and maybe we should all do better, but I just like the pace we're at.
Yeah, and it's like
I like my pace.
And like you said, you know, like I just go back to whatever. There's so many different ways to collect. Right. Like there's no right way or wrong way. It's the same thing with like, and I'll go back to this, right? In real estate, there's 1,000 different ways to invest in real estate. You can invest in apartment complexes. You can invest in strip malls. You can invest in duplexes. You can invest in rental property. You know, like there's no right way to do everything. If there was, there wouldn't be 75 different brands of cars, right? I mean, a Kia does the same thing as a Honda.
Right.
You sit your ass down, you hit the gas pedal, and it goes forward. They're all the same. It's just you're paying 50 grand, I'm paying 25 grand, right? So whatever.
Right. So
Vintage has a good point.
What's that? Oh,
Vintage has a good point right there. And just to take a little bit, not to jump in front, but with what JD said, this was something that me and you were kind of talking about before we went live tonight with there's many definitions to too many terms within the hobby. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think people try to genericize, if that's even a word,
it's a new one. It is now.
We're going to make it a word tonight. All right. So
somebody call Webster.
Yeah, put it in Wordle.
They throw around collect, right? You hear it in these videos that shows how long have you been collecting? Some of those guys consider collecting buying a card, keeping it for 2 hours and selling it at another dealer table. Other people, you know, they are like James, who I mentioned. He's been collecting since he was a young child. You know, he was born in 56, not to throw him under the bus there, but since the 60s and 70s, he's been collecting.
Right.
And he doesn't really sell cards, and he's always collected. There's guys like us that we can't afford. Well, I can't speak on everybody, but myself, I have to let stuff go that I don't want to be able to afford stuff that I do want. And I think that's the majority of the overall hobby. Now, other guys take that and like when we talked about flipper, there's different terms of looking at flipping. And I don't agree with some of the terms that people use for different things, but it's also I've learned to understand, and maybe this is what Chris needs to do, is understand it's not my place to determine if you like to flip one way, JD likes to flip another way, and I flip a different way. it's not my place to say you two are wrong, I'm right. And I was bad about that for a while. I would let things get to me. I still may get passionate sometimes and have a little rant. I don't think I've done one in a while, though. Y'all are probably missing those because everybody seems to enjoy that when I get fired up. But I've also learned it's not my place. Like, if somebody's having fun or whatever, so be it. I think the reason it ever has bothered me is because I hate that a person like Chris is going to come on and say we need to grow the hobby, or Josh Luber coming out and saying he wants to grow the hobby 10x. But to know a lot of the stuff that's being fed to the people out there who are new or who are coming back in and looking for advice, they're being misled and sent to the trough where they're going to lose. That's going to force them back out and put a sour taste in those people's mouth. So it's not necessarily that I have a right to say anyone is right or wrong. I just get upset when knowing that some of this stuff that's fed out there is going to put that bad taste in people's mouths. They're going to get burned and they're going to leave. And then that hurts all of us. I just shared in the group, what was it, yesterday, 2021 Prism football is going to be $20,000 for a case, $1,700 a box. How are we growing anything?
Right. And
because I can't afford it, I know.
I listened to your videos, the last couple you did, and
I wanted to come back around to them, but yeah.
By the way, they were great. But you can't grow anything that way.
No.
You just can't.
The worst part is they're printing more and charging more.
Right. And like you said, like I do that all the time when I look at wax. What is, how many cards am I going to get out of the box? What is going to be the ultimate end price, right? Like I bought a box of Topps Inception a couple weeks ago. And let me tell you, I should have just taken the $200 and stood out in the wind and went like this. I got nothing out of it. Nothing. It was fun.
Used to be an $80, $90
right.
product. And
I'm like, the auto was like, it was like me. I got my own auto. I was like, oh, great. And I understand that that's a chance you take when you buy wax. But when I was doing like the flip side of that, I bought a box of OPC hockey for like $65. And I was doing the math on all the cards. And it's like, wow, I actually kind of came out ahead on this. And when do you do that? So I don't know. I just think there's no right way, man. There's no wrong way. There's your way. There's my way. There's Bobble's way. There's Refractor's way. There's Vintage's way. All these guys have their own way of doing things. And there's who are we to poo-poo what someone else does, right?
Well, I was at the card shop yesterday, and a guy was in there, said he wouldn't buy hockey again because he took a bath on the box, and he bought Series 1 from this year. And and the price in there was no different. So it was like not even $100 for the hobby box.
I love hockey.
Right. So all you got to do is hit a couple of young guns. It doesn't matter who it is, and you're going to potentially get your money back. But he was also talking because he got a last box of football. He had like a one-on-one Herbert auto. So of course he's trying to compare the two, and then he buys a $500 box of Mosaic or something, football, whatever. And what's up, 357? So I'm sitting there after he leaves, and I'm trying to figure out, like, well, if he doesn't hit the Herbert in there, he's ass out. Like, there's two cards in football that are going to do anything for you? And I'm just thinking, because even as a collector, I got to think, I'm not paying $400, $500 for a box of something like that. It doesn't have like 4 packs and 4 hits in each one. I have bought that. I do buy $400 boxes, but it's going to be something that a high that always has been a high end, not mosaic.
Right. Right.
Well, here
Go ahead, Bobbles.
I mentioned this in my video about the
Yep.
Chrome. Okay.
Yep.
Here is the box, one single hobby box 2019 Chrome that we purchased. Okay. I also happen to have the receipt. If my camera will zoom on it. Anyway, it's $92 is what I paid for that with tax.
Right.
In October of 2019, which happened to be during the playoffs. The 2019 season was over with. We knew how good Pete Alonso was. We knew how Eloy was. Tatis, he got hurt. But all of those, Vlad had already played. And it was $92. The pre-order for 2022 Topps Chrome, a hobby box just like this, is $500.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's.
How does it make?
I went and looked. Yeah.
And the parallels. There's going to be more parallels in 2022 with higher odds, but they want 5x the price.
So you showed Steel City for that. So I went on Blowout and Dave and Adams to see what they had.
I couldn't find them on one of them.
Both of them had nothing listed. They don't have anything in the future listed. So what I'm thinking is they've been burnt so bad on putting them out too early that they're waiting to put them out so they can get the top price for it.
Well, I had heard that the original price wasn't $500 for hobby and $1,000 for jumbo, that it was cheaper, and that people had placed orders and their orders got canceled as soon as Julio and Bobby Witt and I think Torkelson, when those guys got announced they were going to be on the opening day roster, people were canceling pre-orders and they jacked the price up. So I don't know if.
Yeah, but they might not be in Series 2. They could be an update.
Well, I'm talking for Chrome.
Yeah, but in Chrome, if they're in update, they're going to be in update Chrome, not in regular Chrome. They got to be in Series 2 to be in regular Chrome.
I think Topps has been doing some weird stuff because I think even in 2021 there was some guys that were in
unless it's a short
Chrome
print.
that weren't in Series 2.
Unless it's a short
and Vlad was in Chrome, but he wasn't in Series 2. He only had the no number card.
Yeah, the no number card, right?
But he didn't have a rook. He didn't have his actual true rookie in there. That was update, and he was still in Chrome.
Let's don't have that argument about true rookies.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying. It was just the SP, the quote unquote 10,000 population SP card. It wasn't part of the set.
Right.
Because technically, that Vlad was not true rookie. It was not part of the set.
Right.
Topps played the game correctly. They didn't put a number on it.
Well,
well, Acuna only had bat down in Series 2.
Yeah, because
he was in 18 Chrome, so it doesn't have to be that they're necessarily in Series 2.
Well, it's right. I think I have to look at it because I don't think those guys are going to. I think if they are, Series 2 is going to be loaded, and because I'm probably going to go ahead and pre-order, even though I don't like the price at $140 or whatever it is right now. But
my focus was mainly on the Chrome price because in 2020 I bought 2 boxes. In 2019 I bought 1. In 2020 I didn't like to swallow the price, but it was $270. So it had 3x from 2019 to 2020. 21 I didn't look at because I didn't care for the card design or the players. And then now in 2022 we're looking at pre-order of 500. If it starts selling at 500, we know what shelf price is going to be.
Right.
Way higher than 500. So there's no way in hell it can sell for that.
Well, you're just going to have to hit it on make sure you're the first on target.com to get the retail.
Well, blasters are 70.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How are we paying $70 for a blaster?
It ain't going to be that on retail, not Target.
When you did that video, man, I was thinking back like 2012. I was buying Chrome with Chase and Harper and whatnot.
Probably $60.
Yeah, like $60-$80 tops. Like, and I'm saying to myself, $500 for Chrome? Like, the hell? I'm
Well,
not doing that.
I
You know?
mean, a series 1, series 2 should be at most $70
Right.
on in those places. And I mean, I've been getting series 1 left and right. I just opened up a mega box or whatever from Target, and it had the same amount of packs as you get in a hobby box, and I got that for $40, I think. So
Did you happen to because I'm curious on this. I did a video, I don't know how long ago, about the parallel odds. Did you pay attention to the odds on the mega? Because I'm almost gonna bet that the odds on that would be either the same, potentially better than a hobby.
I actually did really, really well. I pulled a short print Joey Votto, a couple of color cards, which I haven't pulled in like packs. I actually did very well. I'm still waiting on a hobby box from Dave and Adams. I've been waiting. I mean, I'm going to be, by the time these guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame before they're rookies. But
Series 1 hobby box?
Yeah, well, I bought it with Series 1 hockey and a 10. Well, the 10 keeps getting pushed back for release.
Oh, for hockey.
For hockey. So I bought them all at the same time, and they won't send the other 2 boxes because I love having the 10. So I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, the missus has been waiting on hockey 10s as well because there's supposed to be some kind of special cards that we haven't seen in any product yet called Daylight Nightlight or something like that. I think there's supposed to be like a glow in the dark something to them, and she's wanting them.
Oh, really? That's cool.
But we haven't found them in any product yet, so our guess is they're going to be in 10s for hockey. Because we've opened hobby and all that stuff and done
I haven't opened
very well,
hobby, but I've opened a lot of blasters from this year.
Yeah.
But
the quality is kind of sketchy on hockey.
Yeah. But my whole thing with these boxes going back to 2 times, because they were down below that, but the Wander Franco and now the other guys getting, and some other rookies are doing really, really well. Like the guy for the Cubs from Japan, and the Guardians guy from Oklahoma State. That's
Quan.
Yeah, that they can't strike out. I just think, the chase for rookies, and I don't know who's buying them at these crazy prices. And I can only think of breakers because they're the only ones that can make any money off of this stuff.
Are you talking about Series 1 or just product in general?
Well, Series 1 now is 2 times. When I bought it, it was under $100 to begin with.
Yeah. So I paid over $100 a box, but I'll be honest, I wasn't going to buy any Series 1, and the missus got really sad when I told her. And so I went to my LCS to pick up cards for the submission and some supplies. And I asked him if he had cases, and he told me yeah. And so I was sitting there in the shop the whole time, and I was like, well, do I buy hobby or do I buy jumbo? Do I buy hobby? I was like, all right, let's screw it. I'll buy one of each. I'll make my decision easy. I was like, I know the odds are not in my favor.
Right.
I got lucky because it paid off.
Right.
If I had to do it all over again, I would not test my luck a second time, because quite literally, as well as we did, for the price, basically to keep anything, I had to hit everything I hit, and that was 2 Franco autos, a Trout auto, the Franco SP, the what else was it? I can't even think of everything, but it was basically I had to, to make it worth it in a sense, or to break even or whatever, and be able to keep stuff. I had to essentially hit what I hit. Right. Luckily, it worked out, and I'm going to be able to keep a Franco auto and a Trout auto, so that's cool. But yeah, it's getting difficult to to buy wax, and my biggest concern isn't even exactly the price.
Right.
It's the fact that the prints are going up so high
Yeah.
and the prices are increasing so high with it, because those two can't go together. If the hobby and the demand rises, I get the print rising, but when you're putting the cost level so high on it and then adding so many copies of it out there, we know what happens when that happens.
Right. Yep.
Hey, Blinks, this is the room tour. What's up, brother?
I think too, like, you know, what really opened my eyes, and I didn't even realize it at first when I got that box of Heritage for this year, and then I was talking to you about it, and you're like, yeah, but dude, the chromes, they changed up the hits, and I was like, what? And then I went and looked, and I was like, wait, what the hell? Because those chromes, man, like, used to be a great,
Yeah.
like, if you could grab a refractor or even the base chrome early, you had a pretty decent sized card. And now and then when you said that and I went and looked, I was like, these sons of bitches, they just
Yeah,
ruined
so
my whole.
I actually I pulled
I
it
have yet
up.
to see one.
Yeah.
I pulled up the or the parallels for those for 20, it was 2020, 2021, and 2022. And in 2020 for the chromes there was 5 parallels. And the serial number was 571 on the regular chrome refractor. And then obviously in 2021 they go to 572 because they always ticked it up one notch. But they increased and added 2 new parallels. So they were up to 7 parallels. Well, in 2022, they went to 9 parallels. And instead of just going to 573, they went up to 673. They changed it a digit at both ends, which they had never done in the history of Heritage. And that was just a huge red flag of just. And you think, okay, well, it's only 100. What does that matter? But when you look at the odds of that times 100, and then what else did they increase by 100 and increase the odds? That's where they're getting tricky, is they're tossing in like a color or two new, but then they're increasing the odds. And unless people are really paying attention to product, they're not going to notice a little detail like that. And it really started in 2020 big time when they added the gold foils. Right. That was a big key because they added those gold foils in there, made those easier to hit, but they increased the odds and made it so much harder to actually hit a gold that's when the prints started getting out of hand. And unless people were actually paying attention to the parallel increases or the odd increases, they would have never, like, it would have been unknown. It was just, okay, it was hard to hit, you know? And unfortunately, we need serial numbers to induce scarcity, as me and Scott were talking about earlier. It's like, unless you put a number on there, people doesn't believe, like, you know. And Panini's the key with, like, I'm gonna eventually, I don't know if I'll do it tonight now or not, but I'm gonna do a video on the parallels for football, because after looking at the price, I have some numbers that I've ran on some Panini products and parallels. And one thing that is very funny to me, some of Panini's parallels that are lowest printed are the ones they don't even put a serial number on.
Right.
And people don't even pay no attention to them.
Yeah. Because you're so conditioned to that serial number now.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean, that's why I like the 90s. I go back and those atomic refractors and whatnot, those were ridiculously hard pulls.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, again, like Scott was saying earlier, it's of the guys that I watched play and you know, enjoyed and either got to meet them down in spring training or whatnot. And, you know, those are the guys I have a connection to. So that's what I'm drawn to. Same thing with basketball. The problem with the basketball cards, they're so freaking expensive. You got to get lucky and find things, you just got to pay attention. And eventually, like, I picked up that Iverson Star Date the other day. I've been after that card for like 2 years. The price was just crazy, and it finally came down. I got one for less than $100, and I was like, all right, that's a win. I'll take it, and I'll put it away in the stash.
That
But
question is a good one if you guys want to chime
Which
in on
one?
that before you go.
I wanted to hit this before
Yeah.
and then call it a night. But what I've been hearing this quite a bit here,
Yeah.
news, people, friends, family, a recession coming either later this summer or next year. If it does, the hobbies, things like this is like the first thing that people cut out, right?
Yep.
So this is a want, not a need. So what we've been through, the hobby's been through recessions before, downtimes, whatever. So it's not going to go away, but I just think it might be a reset.
Here's my question for you guys. Because this is like, this is something that I keep hearing about and I haven't really talked about it. And I get little gears rattled up in my head. So I hear the people talking about the economy and a recession and how it's going to affect the hobby and this, that, and the other, right? We heard the same thing with the whole tax thing coming out. It was freaking everybody out. What people don't realize is there's several states already prior to this year. I am in one of those states. I have had this $600 threshold before this year.
Right.
Okay. I've dealt with it the past 2 years and I'm still sitting here on YouTube collecting cards. I haven't changed anything.
Right.
Okay. With the recession talk, what portion of the hobby is, and JD mentioned it earlier, Scott, I don't know how, you allocate funds for the hobby. So I'm not going to speak on your behalf, but I know on my behalf, I have an account specifically for cards. I just did a video showing how I'm having fun selling, standard envelope cards. That account is what pays for my card purchases. If the economy changes, if there is a recession, my card account is still my card account.
Right.
It doesn't, like, that's not paying my light bill or putting fuel in my car.
Right.
Or putting food on the table for my kids. That's what I use to buy cards. So I don't know how many people in the hobby, and maybe it's more than I realize, are actually using finances that they depend on. Like if they're allocating 10% of their paycheck to buy sports cards, but if the recession happens or the economy changes, that 10% lessens. Maybe there's more than I realize. Me personally, I'm not worried about it because I don't depend on whether or not I can sell cards to go to the grocery store. So that's something that I keep hearing it, but I just don't know how many people, like, is it a bigger picture than I'm realizing? Do more people use their paycheck to buy cards?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's important that anybody that's listening to us talk about this right now understands that we're three idiots and not some financial advisors. So,
Yeah, I mean,
take that with a grain of salt, everybody. But I think for me, I've definitely mentioned it before on my channel. If I didn't have a second income and do some of the things that I'm involved in, I would not have the funds to buy cards because I support my family right now. And that's thankfully changing in 3 weeks. But, for a long time, that's the way it's been. And, I've never been one to shy away. And this is not like a self-promotion thing, but if you want stuff, you got to work for it. Right. So if I want to continue to do this and I've been having a blast since the second I got back in, I had to figure out a way to make some extra cash. And now it's at the point where, I could continually just sell things and have money constantly, right, to buy other things. But things, goods in this country are crazy high right now. I don't know, like I feed 4 little kids It's a lot of cash, but it doesn't stop me doing what I do, you know? So I'm kind of with you on that, but I will say be prepared for a lot of the recession is coming videos, you know, like the
Right.
recession in the sports card market, you know, and all that stuff.
Well, I've been
So-
hearing that since the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
But
So
for me,
for I'm trying to go back up in the chat. Sorry.
right now, I'm just gonna say real quick is I am one that spends a portion of my paycheck on cards because I don't sell a lot, but I do sell to supplement that, right? So I do have a savings account, but I don't take my funds that are allocated for living my life and saving money for life, cards money for that. I take a portion and I put it in there, and that's kind of like my play money, my allowance to myself outside of real life. So that's how I do it. And
So the comment I was looking for was refractor, and because I said, you know, and I just did a video saying I sold 50 some cards in the month of whatever it was, March 22nd to April 22nd. And I do sell a lot. I don't talk a lot about like things I sell because I don't know. I just don't like talking financials a lot. I did that because I thought it was something. It's been fun. And you mentioned you have to work for stuff, but the grind of the hobby actually makes the hobby fun.
Yep.
Like, you know, even if it's a $5 sale, but Refractor, I know how he does. And he actually influenced me, and I know he felt bad about it because at first I was upset about it, but now I'm like loving it. If people sell off their cards, you can buy collections.
Right.
And that is one big swoop of a purchase. And what I personally do is this big collection that I've bought, I pull stuff out that I like. And then I have thousands of other cards that I can sit here and post some cards up on eBay.
Right.
And if they're $2, $3, $5, $8, well, then that's money that I can put back into my card account, you know?
Yep.
So that's something that I know he does. Inventory is key. I'm not sitting here to say we all have unlimited supply of cards. I have cards all over my wall. I have cards in boxes down here that are for my collection. The wall back there, up there with Taylor, there's stuff that is not for sale unless there was an absolute emergency and my family needed money.
Right.
But I also have cards that I can sit here and play on eBay and list stuff. And even if it's, you know, like what did I say? It was $8 and something a day, but it equated out to 400 something for the month or whatever it was. That is the fun part of the hobby for me. It allows me to pick up something like this and feel like I traded a bunch of stuff I didn't want for it.
Right.
So I just don't know. I guess there are people out there that will have to adjust. I just think if you've been tying up funds or selling cards to depend on supporting your family, then yeah, you might be afraid.
Yep.
Because the market, when it was up here in 2020, we knew it wasn't sustainable.
right,
You know, it wasn't sustainable. It was fun.
goes up, must come down.
It was that roller coaster. You know, you go to Disney World and you take that little climb on up and you're yay. And then when it comes back down, you're either throwing your hands in the air having fun or you're ready to get off the ride and run to the bathroom.
Right.
And I think as long as you knew that that wasn't real, you could throw your hands up and say, yay, you know, and have fun and have enjoyed that ride to the top, but understood that it wasn't going to stay up there, you know?
I do think one day this is all going to come, not crashing down, but a slow, because this all started with this guy worried about the market being stagnant right now and how it's less. He was looking on eBay and his card ladder thing. It's less and less sales per month than it was the month before.
That's going to happen.
Right. So, and he's freaking out because that's how they make their money. It's card ladder, right? So, it's he's freaking out. But I don't know how us making better entertainment value for a guy to spend their money on cards. And I don't think that's what my job is. My job is to have fun with this the way I see fit.
Yep.
That's the key to hobby.
Right. And
I always like to talk about, JD mentioned earlier, like everybody does things different ways. And, I tossed out that whatever word that was that didn't actually exist and say that, words can be taken in many different directions. I always like to talk about, okay, we're in this as a hobby, right? Well, old ladies that make quilts, right? That's a hobby for them.
Yep.
Quilting is a hobby. And I can assure you that not all of those elderly ladies that are sitting there knitting or sewing are doing it the exact same way.
Right.
So if we're having fun, Scott, you like Gary Carter. JD, he likes Boston, for God bless his soul. And we both like the Nationals, So Scott likes Gary Carter, but we both also like the Nationals. And then you got JD over here, and poor guy, he's got to root for Boston.
Yep. Somebody's going to win.
Doing the same thing. And we're having fun, right?
Right. Yep.
That's what it's about.
Yep.
I'm actually a Mets fan, but that's okay.
You're confused because you like both.
Yeah.
I know. This is my Washington Senators hat from a throwback game from years ago.
The actually, wasn't it the Grays, or was that the Senators hat?
It was the Senators because it was a throwback game with the Giants, and they wore the New York Giants stuff.
Okay, I know they had the Washington Grays or something throwback game one time too.
This was from, I forget, it's been quite a while ago, and it was fun. They made everything look like from early 1900s. Like they made things look like wood and stuff. It was pretty cool. Anyway, but let's end it on that, a positive note. I'm glad y'all came on and helped me out with the perspective of this whole thing. When listening to this Friday night on Carlos's channel, and then rewatched the thing that he did, and I watched some of Chris's original stuff with Dakota. I think Dakota and Christina was trying to steer him back in, and he wasn't going. So maybe you'll learn from this a little bit, or not. Who cares?
Yeah. You know what? It is.
I'm going to do my thing, no matter if I get a badge or not.
Yeah. So I appreciate all the people in the chat tonight. It was very lively and great, funny stuff, and also added a lot to this tonight. And most of all, just have fun out there. If you haven't already, visit Bobbles and Ball Cards channel, JD Sports Cards. He has a channel as well on YouTube. He goes over a lot of the what's going on and what's the perspective, like what's hot right now, what things are doing, what's going up, what's going down. Like you just kind of hit on all that. It's the word on the street, as you like to say.
Yeah, keep it real on the street.
Keep it real on the street. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So until next time, please hit that like, subscribe if you haven't. Let me know in the chat if you watch the post in this later, what you think on all of this nonsense, because it is nonsense when we get down to it. 92 days and counting to the national. That is correct. And hopefully we'll have some guys on here that is going to be we're going to be staying together in one California.
The national is going to put everything that we just talked about tonight into full perspective, and I hope JD I hope you get to make it as well, man.
You better.
I think the team is coming. We were actually just talking about that this week, so I think we're going. So
nice.
I don't really care if I buy a single card at the National. I just want to meet people hang out with you guys. Again, we are blessed to be able to sit here and do this on camera, but we are also blessed to be afforded the opportunity because of this hobby to rent out a house and all hang out together and get to know each other personally. You know, Big Scott, you're now down in North Carolina. You're only a hop, skip, and a jump away. I actually, you know, I need to make my way down there. I haven't been down to see G and them in a while, but you're obviously right close because you're near Scoremore. So
yeah,
that is what this is about, man. You know,
4 miles away from them. So
there's a million different ways in this world to make money.
Yep.
I gotta buy Refractor a steak, so I have to go. So I owe him a steak dinner.
I'm just saying, you know, there's a million different ways we can make money in this world, but there's only certain ways that we actually have fun.
That's
And
right.
this is a way that we choose to have fun. So if we keep it to that and we keep having fun with it, there's many, many, many different ways to make money. So
That's right.
Yep.
Choose one. All right. Till next time, we'll see you.